am creating, not only do I have Absence of the Big Homie as a book coming out, I have the Big Homie podcast, and my non-for-profit would be the Big Homie non-for-profit, where I'm targeting revamping people's history and felony forgiveness program and impacting the youth. Right now, the only way that you can really impact the youth by talking to them is them seeing something that they want to be. And you can't be mad at that because, again, it's hard to pull something over on a little ghetto kid.
Yeah.
That child want to know what you're here for. You know, I've been a basketball coach, and it's another thing people don't know about me. With all the things I got going on, I've coached 18 years. 18 years of coaching and impacting my young people that are now in high school, transitioning to high school basketball, and just not given the right rules. You know, they kind of working against themselves. Dribble, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. If you can play within the structure, that's where you grow for their system. And shout out to Will Green, man. Will Green is another one of my business partners over there at Murio's Pizza, Mentor and Positive. We represent him at Up Next Studios in our networking process. So I'm happy too, Tara, because the connections are being woven for the people that are doing, so those talkers can have more to talk about.
Yeah.
But again, they hate it.
They
on
gonna
Jesus,
keep talking,
man. Who are we?
You already know.
What, man?
You
Keep talking.
know.
That's why I tend to be quiet. Like, I let y'all have y'all say about the haters because they're there, and
Absolutely.
I like to put voice to, or in this case, just shut up and let y'all talk because exactly what you said starts to come through. Is that while that exists, there's always going to be envy. There's always going to be people that haven't grown enough to be able to recognize that what you're feeling that you think is envy and jealousy that makes you talk negative is really your aspiration not being untapped, right? Like you haven't learned how to put it out. That's often where that comes from, is you're seeing people do things you want to be part of. You don't know how to be part of it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so I love that on the other side of that, I've been in Madison long enough to watch and become part of this growing network that is absolutely full of people that are like-minded, like right, where I can sit at tables, but this is no longer an anomaly in my life.
Yes.
To sit in a space with two black men that both have their own entrepreneurship, have great things to talk about, talking about being involved fathers, like all of the things that go so hard against the narratives that the world globally has been sold about a black man, a black father.
Absolutely.
Right? And so the proof is in, well, my grandma said the proof is in the pudding.
Yes, ma'am.
And the pudding is thick.
Shout out, Grant.
Right?
Yes.
and so we like to talk about how it's not there because all the time deficits are what we feel. When things are absent, we feel that more. And I'm in a space of trying to be very gracious and show gratitude.
Absolutely.
And so, and plus being a Sagittarius, we're optimistic.
Here we go. Let me learn.
I'm just gonna say that,
true.
you know. But truly, and so like I'm going to think about abundance and optimism first. And so absolutely, we need to give space to those things because that's a real challenge that we all experience is the negative energy. And the reality is, go to our archives.
Yeah.
Go to the Tuesday 8 o'clock buzz, Turns Up. Since we've been jamming on here, and you will find interview after interview after interview that gives examples that step right in the face of all those negative narratives that are out in the world.
Yes.
And so, so loving ourselves, loving our community, and having places to connect, even when there's disagreements, even when there's struggle. That's how we're going to get through the larger conflicts that are absolutely in the world and are really about to come down on all of us. We're watching them. Right. But that's how when they talk about having your like mutual aid community, folks think about, resources and physical resources. That's absolutely true. But what you said about the power of the mind and mental health,
it's big.
Without a community of people that we can go to problem solve and to motivate, we will be lost. Even if we have all the water and all the food, those are the things that we'll still need. And so shout out to both of you. Thank you for being our guest today to share with the community what you got going on. And all the time, shout out to Antoine McNeil, my co-host.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But it feels great to be in this energy. Y'all don't know, but y'all gave me two perfect segues into the other things I want to mention today, and I want to make sure to give you time to not speed talk your announcements. Cool. I'm trying to be so intentional.
I appreciate it. Before you segue, can I tap in on something the gentleman said that tapped in my mind? We was talking about, I think, for one, I think, because I know you said something about coaching, basketball, and to me, those go back to conversations about manhood, right?
Yes, sir.
On how you represent yourself as a man, and like you got to think you came from somewhere. You came originally from Beloit area, right?
So I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay, Chicago.
And moving to Beloit, we were truly outcast in that place.
Yeah.
My sister being a beautiful, bright yellow young lady that passed 4 years
Blessing
ago.
to your sister.
Man, blessing to my sister. I didn't know mental health was real until my sister passed.
Yeah.
So my sister passed, and I lost $80,000 in the same section. So mentally, I was in a place where I was depressed, but I didn't realize I was there. Shout out to my wife, Connie, again. She let me go through what I had to go through, but about 3 weeks into it, it's like, I need you to get up off your tail and get to it. And at first, I was offended by that, but then I heard my sister's voice clear as day tell me, you mourn long enough, get to it. And I got up and got to it, and my biggest thing is to have my wife retired, have her proud that, you know, I'm her husband, and just doing what's right, you know what I mean?
That's manhood. Like being able to recognize that you're down, being able to have somebody, your wife close enough to you to hear that voice and hear your sister's voice. That goes back to that manhood part. And I think it's very key that we encourage other men to be men, to be men, right? And I always say there's a difference between the man and the male.
Absolutely.
Right? So to hear you hold your wife in high regards, I think that's important. And also the same thing, like I said, men, if we can't push manhood, it's going to take some mentorships, up, left, right, down, professional, and otherwise. Another thing that was tapping on is fatherhood, right?
Yes.
Fatherhood is also one of the most important things to do because we know that our kids need us, and we have a lack of fathers in every culture. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the black man is actually one of the most active fathers in all of the cultures.
I've seen that statistic.
The black man is one of the most active fathers in all the cultures. So I commend you for that. And being able to be a protector, provider for your kids.
Yes, sir.
I think in that, so we want to push fatherhood. I'm not telling more people to be fathers. I'm telling you to take care of your children. I'm not saying go have more kids.
I don't see how they don't. You know, not to interrupt you.
No, we on the same page though, bro.
It's a beautiful thing. Like, it's one of the greatest feelings. It's the evolutionary chart of being a man is to create life and make sure that life has a better life than what we had by giving them the tools. And it's the funnest thing in the world to me is to just be dad. But I've had an interaction with everybody, kids. Man, I love your daughter, and the first thing we talk about is greasy lips, and you know what I mean? So kids love me, and as of lately, I've noticed that the white kids love me even more because in that particular moment, they feel ultimately protected. From a standpoint of him being a real man and him being a loving person and the way he talks and carry himself, I have no words. I love being a father. I want to create a group, bro, to be honest with you.
Let me know, because I mean, I love fatherhood too, because sometimes, and I got to say this again, let's go back to the level of appreciation. Sometimes your own children won't appreciate you.
Man.
It's a part in the Bible that was talking about when people,
sometimes?
most times, often, right? I was trying to be very gentle and loving, right? Sometimes your own kids won't appreciate you, but like in the Bible, they were saying something about like if you in the town or the city, they don't appreciate you, dust your feet off and go to the next town.
That's what it says.
So that's one of the reasons I also care to mentor, I also care to help guide, and I don't want to get too far off into it, but I think that's dope, and I'm here in any way for that. The next thing I deal with leadership, bro.
Yes.
We was talking about just like how you're running your business and you with your wife. And a lot of times people don't understand we have a lot of different roles, but sometimes in those roles we are often number 2, 3, or 4. Sometimes we take on a leadership role. We gotta be able to provide leadership to the community, to our families, to our friends when there's needed, because there's a lot of followers. But in order for you to be a great leader, you had to be a great follower.
You had to follow first.
So that's tapping in on that, and then I'm going back.
That's another one of those moments.
It is. It is.
In most collaborations that I've been part of or witnessed, that's the thing that tears folks down, is that too many people aren't able to understand. You need to be able to take both roles equally. I'm not gonna follow you as a leader if I haven't watched you take leadership from another person. That's just that's the truth of the matter for me. And like being able to go between the two is for me one of the marks of a great leader.
I agree.
But so many people think that in order to be a leader, you should never be the follower, and and that's where some heads start to
put that leadership and the follower hat on. I think that's the best way for to do it. Another thing I just tap on real quick when I was hearing something about coaching. You know what I mean? So I commend you on coaching. I played basketball for a period of time. I think until I was like 33, till my body started breaking down on me. And I coached. I forget what middle school that was over. It's at Jefferson, I think. right off of Gammons at Jefferson Middle School.
Connected to Memorial.
So, yeah,
I think
right.
they're called something else now, though, right?
Yeah, there might be something else,
Is
but
that
I
the
coached that
Veil?
for about a year. But I think that's important because that's still that coaching going back to how you coach business, how you provide, how you protect, how you have leadership, how you have manhood, how you have fatherhood. So I was just going back to saying again, even though you were saying, hey, my daughter's telling me she wants to be a doctor. We think about the skills that basketball has allowed you to do because if you play basketball, you've had a coach. You've looked at what manhood looks like. You looked at what leadership looks like.
Yes.
You've been able to be a good follower, to become a better leader. And then also, if you run a point guard, you know when you need to distribute the ball to get it to the team. You'll know who the big man is. You know how to dribble with your head up and look down the court to see the next play come in. Know when to play defense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So a lot of times people don't understand that basketball IQ can help you see business and a lot of stuff in a lot of different ways.
Hey man, you it look like you need to get back to coaching.
Man, I'm with it.
You know what I mean?
I'm with it, brother.
My number one thing to my team every year is first to have a meeting with them and ask them, do you plan on being successful in business, a job, or career? Do you plan on being successful in marriage or a relationship? Everybody's yes. Well, then you first have to learn how to operate as a team. And it helps in appreciation. To go back to what you said.
No, teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. You better understand that even in business, you have to put the right people in the right places and allow them to thrive. You can't do everything yourself. And part of being an entrepreneur is learning that because you try to. You try to take everything on your shoulders, and that's just not the reality of it. But you said something. Let me get back to it before I forget. Our children will never know appreciation towards us until they're in our shoes, parenting themselves.
Wait, were you in the living room with me and my daughter?
Man,
Dancing
come on,
yesterday?
come on.
There you go.
Hey,
Come
man,
on.
shout out to the engineer, but they won't know that appreciation, but we're the one that's raising them. I told my daughter the other day because I've never given her a Valentine's Day gift, and my wife like, did you send your daughter some money for Valentine's Day? I said, she ain't my Valentine's. She ain't even sweet to me in time. So I did a survey.
Your daughter too, huh?
I did a survey. I asked the people around me, and shout out to Coach Sid Morris, man. That's my man at $100,000. He was like, man, I ain't think about that, but let me send my daughter. So I grabbed my phone and let me send it to her as well. But my thing is like, you ain't my Valentine's, but again, shout out to my wife who opened my eyes to it. So I did it, and I tell my daughter, I reached back out to her because it took her a while to say thank you, Dad. But I reached back out to her. You're not living a struggling college kid life. You getting your hair and your nails done, going to concerts, all these things. Like, you're not struggling.
Very privileged.
She said, Dad, I am struggling, but you and Mom ain't. I know you lying, girl. I know you lying. You got to be a struggling college kid. My oldest son, fraternity kid, shout out to Dwight Jr. I used to go see him at college and just stop in on him. He was living in a frat house, okay?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I pull up, there's beer cans everywhere.
Oh, Lord.
I walk in the kitchen, I said, hey, man, you don't live like this. Like, you want to move? Like, what you want to do?
Are you at the rescue?
I had to. All he says, Dad, I just want to eat. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go get something to eat. You know?
College.
Man, listen, that's typical college life. My daughter, on the other hand, man, it's like, I go visit her at college, it's music playing. Loving you is easy because she's not struggling.
But the same way.
That's fine because her mother, with all those attributes and traits that you name, will make sure that her college experience is far different. Now, my youngest son, you get to learn with all those kids. One thing that I was blessed with, and I want my word to know, is I had all my children by one woman, and I married her.
That's a blessing, brother.
I'm within the home. No, hold up, backtrack. The blessing is making it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The blessing is being in there and thriving because I was no different than anybody else. I'm not sitting up here telling y'all that I'm sweet. I'm from a place that promiscuity is key.
I feel
it
that.
rules.
I feel that.
But at this point now, the growth and development in it is not to live with a lustful heart.
There you go.
I can't live with a lustful heart, man, when I got everything that I ever wanted at home.
Brother, I love this, man. This is the messages we need to hear.
Man, come on with it.
You got to have something to strive for, something to thrive for, brother.
We do.
That's motivation, man.
We do, and you got to be proud of that. So I don't use the word humble, and I'm going to tell y'all why. I was bred in a culture of the gang society and then being a protector. That's one thing that's lost in our youth right now. They're not growing up knowing that you have to protect mom and sister. They don't have to. They mom talks so tough. I know she can handle her business. So you don't put that cloak on.
Yeah.
But being in a brotherhood, being raised with honor, everything that you do have honor and respect. It takes me away from using a word like humble, where I have to dim my light to make you feel better about you. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to turn this off. Man, listen, we get the same hours in the day.
Keep your light on,
Hey,
brother.
I am not going to
man,
turn
I'm not
this
doing
off.
that. I'm not turning this off. You
Keep your
better
light
believe it.
on.
And then another thing I'm not doing is I'm not going to treat you differently because this person is thinking that I have hidden agendas for you, not knowing you and my wife worked together many years ago. She introduced many years ago, and I'm an ultimate concierge. So saying that, when you in my presence, how you feel around me, what you want to talk to is very important, whether it be in Hayes Place or House of Healing. The number one thing when you walk through that door is, how are you doing? What's your ailments and what are you fighting? And directing the ship on that comes from a place of honor. So the gang culture growing up for us was big. They wasn't soliciting us to be hustlers. Everything was about, boy, you better be in school. Boy, your mom work at the clinic. Boy, don't do this. Boy, don't do that. But me and my sister, like I said, we grew up rough. We grew up with all the things that was against us. So right now, being in this position where my businesses has shined, the connections are woven, and things are moving forward, man, I can't dim the light on that. I can't talk to you from a standpoint of anything other than the truth. That's why the two things I'll never talk. Me and you done had so many conversations, bro. Yeah. I can't go back and tell you anything other than when people mention your name, the first thing I say, that's my man behind the ground. Yeah. Because I know what comes behind it. Yeah. Talkers and doers. Talkers and doers.
I'd be so amazed to hear about me, man. That makes me laugh more than anything. I'm laughing now thinking about the things I've heard about me.
Man, listen, I just heard something about me recently, and I'm so tickled. I be so tickled about it because the thing is, my wife is my everything. Yeah. You know, in the morning, she wake up delegating duties. I'm the person with the boots on the ground. Yeah. And I told my little man just the other day, you haven't noticed when your mom asks me to do something, I get it done right away. You know why that is? Because I want to get back to doing what I want to do. And this is life. Do everything you have to do. So in your spare time, you can do what you want to do.
And dropping gems this morning.
It's real. That's what guys gonna have to call this. This is dripping gems. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yes.
I want to add something to what y'all said about sports. The other thing that's valuable from basketball that I think people don't talk about enough is that you learn how to lose.
Mm-hmm. You learn a lesson. I don't want to use the word lose.
No,
I learned the
word.
You right.
Because that's even saying it has, especially in this culture that we've created, not us, but people have created where everybody gets an award for participation. And showing up. We have to empower everybody, which is true. And you're not going to win all the time. No. And in a sport competition like basketball, there is always a clear winner and loser. Absolutely. Right? And you have to learn what it feels like to put all your effort in, to work as a team, to do all the right things, show up to practice, and still ultimately lose, and understand that you still walk off that court with your head up, right? Your head up, your chest out, ready to do it again. Ready to come back as a warrior again. And that is such a valuable lesson that life does not always show. And often, even in entrepreneurship, in adult life, I see so many people that are afraid to lose, so they never get off the porch. I see so many people that are embarrassed to lose, so they get violent and aggressive after fact, right? Like that's being able to lose with grace and good sportsmanship is an undersold skill that I was always thankful for my kids to be part of team sports in that atmosphere.